Okay. So yesterday we started the discussion of jQuery, and today we'll continue with that. So is the screen visible?
Yes, sir.
So we gone through all this. Again, today there is some problem, so I am, showing the PDF. We discuss up to this point, and now we are going to discuss further. So now these are some example you can see. This is the example which set the element width and height. If you want to set height and width of any element, this is how you can do it. Okay, if anyone remembers, can you tell me what this will do? What this selector means? Because see, if you remember, yesterday we discussed that. Not first child, only first division will be selected. Okay, first division will be, because there are multiple divisions, tags, only tag will be selected, and you are setting its width to 100 and its background color to blue. Otherwise, by default, this is the style of division where width is 70 pixel, height is 50 pixel, and background color is red. So we are changing two things. We are setting its width and we are setting its background color. And that will be applicable only to this division where there is no D, right? So if you see the output, you can see that the first division width is changed from 70 by default to 100, and background color is also changed. So width is the function to do that. Then DOM manipulation. So basically, when you need to perform DOM manipulation, you need to get that element content, and you may want to set that element content. So here you can see this example. Division, I am selecting division. So currently there is only one division in my page. I'm setting the click event on that. And whenever it will be clicked, that division will be clicked. Okay. You can see that what we are doing, we are calling the HTML function. HTML function is giving you similar function, which is, HTML function is similar to inner HTML that we use in JavaScript. So if you want to get inner HTML part of any element, we call dot inner HTML. Here we call dot HTML, and this is get one. This will give you the this is a get method. This will give you the content, HTML content of that element. There is another HTML method where you pass some argument, so that will set that HTML content. Okay, so HTML without argument means getter. HTML with argument means setter. Similarly, there is a text method. And you know what is the difference between inner HTML and text content? That is the difference between HTML and text method. So this will give you the inner HTML content of this division because you are passing this. And the same content you are setting to this result, and result is a span. So in this span here, what content will be set? What content will be set here? Yes, this is yellow square. This is yellow square. Okay, that will be set here because this .html, this represent division, and division's content, HTML content is this. So that will be given to this content variable, and that content variable you are going to set as a text to this result. So it will be set here. Okay, so if you want to see the output, when you click on this box, this is a division, this will be set to span. Another thing, so now this is HTML method where you use HTML method to set the HTML content, right? So when division will be clicked, you set its content, HTML content to this, my content is changed. So currently the division content is this is yellow square, and it will be, when you click on it, it will be changed to my content is changed. So this is the output. Are you getting all these methods? Very simple, right? Now, if you want to replace some element, okay, so by looking at this code, can you tell me what it will do? Can you tell me what it will do by looking at this code? It is very simple to understand. Yes, div will be the div element. The div element will be replaced by this h1 element. Okay. So you can see the whole box has gone. If you click on that box, it is gone. The div element has gone and it is replaced by this h1 element. Yes, Shah, you are answering in a reverse manner. Division will be replaced by h1. Right. Now there are few methods that we are going to discuss. There is one method called empty and another method is called remove. When you call empty method, it will remove the child elements of that particular element which is selected. So wherever you call empty method, for that element, all children will be removed. And when you call remove method, it will remove children as well as that same element. Okay, the jQuery remove method removes the selected elements and its child elements. So this is one example of remove. Now tell me what will be removed here. What will be removed? Which division? So whichever you clicked on, that division will be removed. Though there is no child element actually, there is no child element in this division, but within this division, if you have some child, right? If you have some children here, they will also be removed. But it will remove the division itself. Okay. So you can see this example. Currently, there are 3 divisions. Whenever you click on any, let's say you are clicking on this green, so that will be removed. When you click on blue, it will be removed. So this is one example. This is the output of one example, right? Are you all getting? If you have any question, please let me know. See, I am going little fast because these are very simple things, right? We are just exploring available methods there in jQuery, and they are very simple to understand. So I am going little fast. If you have any doubt in between, you can always raise your question. Similarly, there is a method called after content and before content. After and then set some content. So the after method, it inserts content after each of the match elements. So whatever selector element, whatever selector you have used, and whichever elements are matched, after those elements, whatever content you set, that will be added. Similarly for before. So this is the example. Now look at this example. Can you tell me what will be the output? Anyone? Before every div? Okay, wherever you click any division, before that division, new division will be added. New division will be added. Right? Just before that. So this is the output. This is the default output. Now when I click, let's say I'm clicking on red, so the new division will be added before red. Then if I click on green, this division will be added before green. Clear? Now we have seen how you can manipulate DOM elements, right? Now we are going to see how you can handle events using jQuery. So we can create dynamic web pages by using events. We know that events are actions that can be detected by your web application. And some examples of these events are like mouse click, a web page loading, taking mouse over an element, submitting an HTML form, a keystroke. So we know all these events, right? We have already discussed that. These are some of the events that we have and we can handle. Now, how we can handle these events using jQuery? We know how to do it in JavaScript, but now we are going to see jQuery method. So there is a bind method or bind command, you can say. what it will do, whatever selector you call bind, it takes three arguments. The event type, whichever event you want to bind with that selector. If you want to bind some data with that event, which is optional. So whatever I put in this square bracket, that is optional parameter. And the third is handler. That is a function. What you want to do when this event happens. When this event happens on this match element, what you want to do, that you provide here in handler. So what this will do? Yes, whenever you click on division, it will alert with some message, hi there, right? So this is how you can bind any event, right, with any matching element. Whatever matching element are there by this selector, you bind this click event on that. And whenever that event happens, you want to handle it by this function. So this is a simple thing that we want to do. So you can see on whichever you click, on whichever division you will click, every time it will display the same message. But whatever you want to do, you can do that. This is just an example. Now let us understand that event object and its attributes. That is important. So this part. Event type, right? This is event object. Yes, Aditya, that is the beauty of that. It is actually going to change your source code. I mean, okay, 1 minute. What do you say source code means what? You are saying that the code will be there? Yeah, it will be changed. Yes, it will be changed. You can see that. You can see that. In fact, you can run that example and then you inspect it. And you can see that new HTML or new HTML element code is added there. That is the beauty of that. That is dynamic web page creation. So now we are going to talk about this event itself. This is one event object. Not this. Event object that we pass here. See here. This is the event object. Whenever you use bind method to bind any event, this is event type. Whenever you want to bind any event with any match element, the function that you pass to handle it, it can take one parameter or argument, that is event itself. And what this event object is, so that is what we are going to see, the event object and its attribute. The callback function takes a single parameter, the JavaScript event object, that is default event object, which is generated by JavaScript engine. The event object is often unnecessary and the parameter is omitted. Sometimes you don't want to, use that. So most of in JavaScript, it is allowed, right? If any method takes any parameter and if you don't pass any parameter, fine, that is allowed. So even if you don't pass any parameter, it's okay. But if you want to use that event, which is generated, then you need to pass it to the function. And there are certain attributes that we can see here like this. See, now function event. And now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to display some information regarding that event. There is a type of the event, event.pageX, page Y. Okay, what this will give you? Event.pageX and event.pagey. What do you think? What it will give you? Exactly. That is the coordinate. That are the coordinates, X coordinate and Y coordinate, where that event happens, where that click happened. At that point, whatever X and Y coordinates are, that will be given. Okay. Okay. Are you searching it on net and then are you answering? So
I use Paint so much. Paint has this kind of functionality, X and Y.
Okay. Whatever it is, fine. Now, event.target.inner.html. So what do you think? What event.target will provide? Event.target, what do you think? What it represent? the element where this event has happened, on which you have clicked, because the event type is click. It will give you the element on which you have performed the click, and then it will provide its inner HTML. So these are some attributes of event object that you can use to get some information regarding the event itself. Okay, and if you see some output, if you click on this blue square, that is division, it is saying that event type is click, because that is the event type, and coordinates are this, and target is 1. Inner HTML of target is 1, so you get the 1. Similarly 2 and 3. Okay, Rishi, what do you want me to explain again? This target? Okay, so event.target. Target is the object or on which event has been performed. So basically you are clicking on what? You are clicking on some division. So that division is the target of that event, because your event was generated on that particular object. So this event.target represents that particular HTML element on which you have performed click. Clear? Now interesting part, Ajax. How you can do Ajax in jQuery. We have seen one example of Ajax that we do in JavaScript, right? Directly in JavaScript. How we do it? We create one XML HTTP request object, then we open, then we send, and then we get the response back, right? This is how we handle Ajax in normal JavaScript. But if you want to perform Ajax from jQuery, though nowadays no one directly uses this Ajax syntax, because there is some API called Fetch API. And someone asked me actually, when I discussed promise, someone asked me about Axios. Yes or no? Someone asked me about what is Axios. Yes. So basically Axios is nothing but, again, it's a library based on promise objects. It is one more library, but it is using promise objects mostly for asynchronous task. Okay. So you can explore that if you want. Like jQuery is one library, Axios is another library, but Axios purpose is different. It is mainly used for asynchronous tasks using promises. Okay. Now, jQuery for Ajax call. So there is a method called load. One method is load. Okay. And its syntax, if you see, load method to load any static or dynamic data. Okay. Okay. Can anyone tell me what is static and what is dynamic data? What is the difference between static and dynamic data? Static, yeah, you can say hard-coded, or you can say normal, it is a file. Most of the time it is a file, like HTML file or some JSON file or whatever. Right? And dynamic data is based on your request, some data will be generated at the server side because of through some coding, and that data will be passed, right? So this load method can load static as well as dynamic data. So it takes 3 arguments. Out of these 3, the last 2 are optional, whether you want to use them or not. Now, what these 3 arguments to this load method? URL, we understand the URL of the server side resource to which the request is sent. So that is compulsory, where you want to send the request. Now data, this is basically an object. Okay, this is JavaScript object whose properties are serialized into properly encoded parameters to be passed to the request. Now, if you remember, whenever you send request, you may want to pass some parameters with that request. Especially with post request, normally we pass some parameters, right? So here that you passed using this data object. This is one object. In that data object, you put all name value pairs, and that will be encoded properly and will be sent as parameters. Will be sent as parameters to that URL. And then callback, again, it is optional. A callback function invoked after the response data. Okay, one more thing. If this data is specified, the second argument, if this is specified, the request that you are sending, it will be of type post. And if you omit this argument, the default request type will be get. A callback function invoke after the response data has been loaded into the elements of the match set. So once response is loaded back, what you want to do, that is there in this callback function. The first parameter passed to this function is the response text. Now this callable is basically function and it takes two parameters. Response text is the first parameter and second parameter is the status code. Okay. So this function itself takes two parameters, response text and status code. So this is the example. So what this will do? What kind of data is it is loading? Static data, because there is a simple HTML file. So it will load that HTML file, and what it will do, because you are not passing second argument, that is data, as well as third argument, that is callback function. Okay. As second argument is not that, this is get request, and it will simply fetch that result.html. It will load that result.html. And where it will load that? Where it will load this file? Yes, in the division which has ID stage, right? When you click on the button, driver is the ID of this button. So when you click on this button, this result.html will be loaded in this division. So initially it is looking like this because you have set some property here it is not shown. Yeah, it is shown. The division background color is CC0 or 0, actually not O, CC0. Okay, which is this color. So by default it is showing like this, but when you click on load data, right, when you click on this load data, it will load this stage, this division, with some HTML file content. So right now that HTML file does not contain much. It contains only one text. This is the result. Are you getting this load method? And there is a get.json method. Then there is a get.json method. Actually, get.json is how it is working. See, get.json method, again, it takes 3 arguments. And this method is used to get JSON data. If you know that, the URL that you are requesting, it is providing JSON data as response, you can use this method directly, get.json method. So first argument itself is URL. So the URL of the server-side resource contacted via the get method, because this is get method. So definitely, I mean, you are trying to get some data and you know that if this URL provides some data in JSON form, you can use this. So by default request is of get type. Then you can pass data. Now what this data is? An object whose properties serve as the name value pairs used to construct a query string to be appended to the URL if you still need to append something, or a pre-formatted and encoded query string. So if you need to append something in the query string, you can use this data and it will be used for that. And the callback is again same, a function invoke when the request completes. The data value resulting from digesting the response body as a JSON string is passed as the first parameter to this callback, and the status is, so basically callback is again similar to that previous one. It has 2 parameters, response, which is in type of, which is a JSON string, and the second one is status of that response. So now this is little interesting. Here how we are calling get JSON, you see that. Okay, we are not calling get JSON on this selected object. No, because this is first we are on this driver, that is our button. We set some event click, and when this button will be clicked, this function will be executed. This function will be executed. And inside this function, what you do? You call $.getJSON. $.getJSON. Okay. Because get.json you are not calling on any other method. Like here, load method that you were calling on this division, because this result will be loaded in this division. But here get.json, just you are calling on the $sign. So $.getJSON, this is the static data. URL is only the name of the file that is there in your current folder, or it can be online URL, I mean any URL of the any particular server data. And then the second argument we are skipping, we don't require any data to be passed. So third argument is the handler. Okay, it takes one argument JD, which is nothing but, okay, what is the first argument of this function? What is the first argument of this callback function? It is the response. Yeah, it is the response which is in form of JSON string. It is a JSON string object, right? And as you know, it is a JSON, so you can always do something like this. So you can set values in these different divisions. I mean, or not in the same division, because there is the ID stage. So in the division, first you will set its inner HTML, which is paragraph name equal to JD.name. As JD is the JSON object, you can call JD.name and you will get that value. And then after I call append. So append is another method. So it will be appended after the first value. Whatever is there, this will be appended after the second value. So if you see, when you click on this load data, JSON object will be loaded. I mean, it will be fetch, and then you are using it to put some values inside this division. Does this make sense, everyone? Are you getting it? Yes? Okay. Now, some of the if methods which gives some effects, okay, that we are going to see. Hide and show. Basically, the name itself suggests if you want to hide any element or if you want to show any element. Again, there are different versions of these methods. It takes some optional parameters. Yes, JD is simple object, JSON object. So hide and show methods are fade in, fade out, fade toggle, fade to. If you have if you have done this animation kind of stuff before, you must be aware of this kind of methods, fade in, fade out. In fact, even if you have done any animation in PPTs also, still you must be aware of these ideas, fade in, fade out, fade toggle. Fade toggle means it will first fade in and then fade out or something like that. I mean, if it is already faded in, it will be faded out. If it is already faded out, it will be faded. Basically, we'll see one example. It is there. And fade to will tell you up to how much value you want to fade it. Okay, that is opacity and all. Then there is a slide down, slide up, slide toggle, animate and stop. So let us see some methods. Show and hide elements. So again, this show method has two arguments and both are optional. One is speed, another is callback. Speed can be given in terms of milliseconds. This speed, basically, if you say show 1000, it means it will be shown fully within 1000 millisecond. That is in 1 second. So you will see some kind of animation that, okay, gradually it is being shown to you. So that is a speed. If you do not want to use this numerical value here in speed, you can always use this any of these three value, slow, normal or fast. But it is a string. Okay, though numerical value you pass, still it is a string. And callback, what you want to do once this show method is completed. Once your element is shown, what you want to do, that you can pass in callback. So that is a function. Similarly for hide. So this is one example. Now what this will do? Show and hide, they are two buttons. They are two buttons. Actually, it was GIF that was put in this slide, but as I am right now showing it in PDF, I cannot show that. You cannot see that GIF, which is showing the impact of this, but you can do it yourself and it is very simple. Okay. Or should I run this code on online editor? Do you want me to run this code or you understood this? Do you want me to run this code or you understood this? What's the case? Okay, two of the students asking to run it. How about others? Let us use some online editor. Okay, I have opened online editor from W3 schools and let me copy this code there. Is my screen visible? Okay, just a moment. Sorry? Yeah, I know that. So give me a minute to copy this code there. Okay, so now it's working. So let me show it to you. Okay, so can you see this? Okay, now this is the initial setup. I have this division which has this content and there are two buttons. When I click on hide, it will be hidden. This division will be hidden. So what I do, I hide that division. And within 1 second, it will take 1 second to completely hide that. So you can see it. And when you click on show, it will happen like this. Clear? Okay. Now, fading effects. So there are fade in, fade out, fade toggle, fade to. So there is no, or should I just change this? Let me change this part. I call this fade out. What is the exact name of the method? Is it fade out like this? No, out O capital. Yeah, sorry, this is there. So I have this example. Let me copy this example. So click to fade in boxes. So let us try. Now there are three boxes which are fading. But can, uh, if you can see that, if you can observe, the first box will be fading immediately. Second will take some time, and third will take more time. So if you can observe, just keep your eye on this. Could you notice that? Okay. So this is how it works. Fade in. Similarly, fade out is there. So fade out, I think it is same thing, right? So I just need to change this. Okay. Only this is change. And this will be changed to fade out. And This is also different. Okay, I just need to remove this part, display none. Because initially I want to display that. I want to initially display that. I want to initially display these boxes. And then when I say fade out, now you can observe that. Right? So this is fade in, fade out. Simple to understand? Then fade toggle. Now it is, I guess, same thing. For sake of completion, I am doing it here. And this is fade toggle. So initially, as display is not none, initially all these boxes are shown. Fade out, fade in. So this is toggling. You know that toggling is like switch. If it is on, it will become off. If it is off, it will become on. Clear, everyone? Fade to, basically it will take three parameters: speed, opacity, and callback. Till now we have seen that it took two parameters, speed and callback only, but now this will take three parameters. And third one is optional. Opacity means how much blur you want to make it. Okay, so fade to. So let's take this example. So you'll get the understanding. Sorry. Otherwise, everything is same, right? So now you can see that. Any problem? Can you see that? First one is 0.2, second is 0.5, and third one is 0.7. So this is little darker than this, and this is little darker than this. So if you want to fade in, fade out up to particular opacity, right? You can do this way. So there is fade to. Does that make sense, everyone? Now then we have sliding effects. That was fading effect. This is sliding effects. So I'm just going through this very fast. Slide down, slide up. And the syntax is very similar to that fade in, fade out. And slide toggle is also there. In slide toggle, again, there is no need for opacity because we are not fading and fading out, right? It is going slide up or slide down. So let us take this slide toggle example if we have. Do we have it? No, we don't have that example, but this is one slide down example. Okay, so you can understand that what is slide down, what is slide up. I'm not going to, show that example. I hope you understand that. Then some animations are there. Okay, jQuery animations. So what it takes some object called parameters in which it takes parameters. Then there is a two optional arguments, speed and callback. This animate method. So this params define the CSS properties to be animated. Okay, it defines the CSS properties to be animated. Speed is defining speed, and callback is the parameter is a function to be executed after the animation. So once this animation gets completed, what you want to do, that you need to pass here in callback. So do we have example? Okay, we have example, I guess, after this. Fine, we'll see that. So by default, all HTML elements have a static position and cannot be moved. By default, all HTML elements are static and they cannot be moved. To manipulate the position, remember to first set the CSS position property of the element either to relative, fixed, or absolute. all property names must be camel cased when used with the animate method. Normally property name, okay, it must be, see, normally we use this way property name in CSS. This is how we provide property name. Yes or no? I hope you remember CSS style. So in CSS, this is how we put property name. But when we use that property name in animate methods first parameter object list, we use this way, camel case. We use it this way, camel case. Just a minute. I'll be back. So are you getting this? Animate method, let us understand animate method with this example. So let us do it here. Now I am going to animate this block. This is the division actually. Okay. And when I click on this, it will animate it. Now, by looking at this code, can you tell me what kind of animation it will do? Because the first argument to animate method, that is one object, it is going to animate this, it is going to change CSS properties. And that is nothing but animation. Oh, it's not working. What happened? Any syntax mistake? Can you identify any mistake here? Why it is not? It was working the position. No, but at least it should change its height, width, and all those, right? Opacity. So what is problem in opacity? Okay, it is not identified, right? It is not identified. So what is opacity? How we provide it?
It's 250 over
Sorry? Opacity, I guess there is some problem in this. Oh no, this quotes are problem. Yeah, quotes are problem. Correct. Fine. So you can see that. What it did, it left equal to 250 APX. I guess that is provide that space in the left side, right? That is what CSS property left. So in left side, it provides now 250 px. Opacity became 0.5, so it is blurred little bit. Height is changed to 150 px. Width is also changed to 150 px. So you feel that it is animated actually. So this is how you, by changing CSS properties through this animate method, you can change it. And you need to remember this, that you need to first set some position for that element. You need to set this position first. Are you getting? So this is animate method that you can use. Another example. Let us try this example also. This is same, right? So let's run this. Now you can see. Okay, so this is some simple animation. Toggling the elements. So toggle is a method which will toggle the element. jQuery provides methods to toggle the display state of elements between revealed and or hidden. Basically show and hide. So either you use show and hide separately, or you can say toggle. If it is hidden, it will be displayed. If it is displayed already there, it will be hidden. So that is toggle. Again, it takes two arguments, speed and callback, which is again optional. So this is the example. How much time we have? Okay, so I'm not going to run this example. I want to complete the slides. There are 10 more slides. Let us complete them. So when you click on that, click me is a division. When you click on that, it will take some this event as a parameter, and what it will do, the target is nothing but this division, that is target, and it will toggle it with the slow speed, and after it is toggled, it will put some text, that is transition completed, in log, that is in this division. And toggle means if it is already there, you can see that if it is displayed, it will be hidden. If it is hidden, it will be displayed. It will be shown. Simple to understand. And then you can also do some method chaining. Nowadays, this concept is becoming common, that you call one method and then immediately on that you can call another method. So with jQuery, you can chain together actions and methods. Chaining allows us to run multiple jQuery methods on the same element within a single statement. So this is how you can do it. See, when button gets clicked, what you want to do for P1 ID element, you want to perform this CSS, that is, you want to change its color, and then you want to slide up, and then you want to slide down. So all these events will be happening in sequence. All this action will be performed on the click on that button, and that actions will be performed on P1 element in the sequence. Simple to understand? Yes, guys. And these are some utilities that are there. Like we have already seen one utility. Do you remember one utility that we have already discussed today? Today itself, we have discussed one of the utilities. Utilities are like $, and then some function name. So if you remember, one utility we have discussed today, not bind, no. Bind happens on the element, getJSON, yes. $.getJSON. And these are some other utilities, like trim will trim the spaces, extra spaces will be trimmed. Then each, you will get each element from the array, right? Then in array, it will check whether any element like this 4 is there within this array or not. So in array will check that. So these are some utility functions which are created in jQuery, and you can directly use them. Extend, proxy, and some other contains and all this, right? So I'm not going to discuss all this. They are simple functions to understand. I mean, you can just refer them. You just go through the documentation, you get the idea. Are you getting this? So is jQuery clear, everyone? Yes. Okay. Now I just want to, I have a announcement for you people. I have few projects to be done, and they are real world projects. Okay. If you are really, and they are mostly web projects. So if you are really interested to do any project, you can contact me. And again, I am repeating myself that they are real world projects. They are not dummy projects. And in SDP, that in 6th sem, you have one subject called SDP where you need to develop a project, right? If you can complete your the given task, it will be considered as part of SDP. It will be considered as part of SDP. Technology is up to you, but I prefer this technology, Angular and Node and all this. But if you want to use any other technology, I'm okay with that. But the point is the real world projects that I want to develop, okay, I want to create all those modules in the same technology. That is why I prefer this technology, Angular or React, or mostly Angular and Node in background. In backend, I want to use Node, and in front end, I want to use Angular. Yes, you can send me an email. Okay, we'll discuss that. After that, we'll discuss. It's up to you whether you want to create a team or you want to do it alone. It's up to you. Mostly there will be like, portal. It will be a portal kind of stuff where we are going to develop different modules which can be used by faculties as well as students. Basically, it is like automation of some processes that we have in our department. Okay, so whenever if you feel to do this project and if you can complete it, I'll consider it as part of SDP also. That is your next semester. That is one subject in your next semester. No, you can choose definition. I'll give you the definition because I want to do some work get done, right? Okay, so this is one announcement for you people and you can send me an email if you are interested. Fine, with this I'll come. Okay, one more thing that I want to ask you. What do you want to do in the next lecture? We have one more lecture before internal exam. Next week, 30th is the holiday. On Monday, it is a holiday. So I'll have one more lecture on Thursday. So what do you want me to do that? Do you want me to start new topic? Or you want me to do some project, some small applications? What do you think? Some application. I was thinking to use that fetch. I was thinking to show you the use of fetch API. So we'll do some small job there. I'll take some small application and I'll show it to you. Okay, so that is what we will do and if you have any doubts, you can come with those doubts. We'll try to solve that.